In the midst of 2020, when we were all quarantined in our respective countries, counties, uh, homes, and what have you, I made a very, very bold decision as it related to my personal finances. This decision, I had not put much thought into it. I just knew that it's something that I wanted to work towards, and it was something that I just wanted to do. If I am being 100% honest and frank, it was a lot of wishful thinking on my part, okay? And I still wanted to make a difference in my own life. So many things that happened that year. Obviously, everybody experienced 2020 differently and also similarly at the same time. And we were all making decisions that we never thought we would have to make. And we were also making decisions that were born out of necessity. For me, it was just after I started, being cooped up in my home first, and I started watching a lot of personal finance videos on YouTube, I came across a lot of influencers talking about their finances. In my culture, money has often been a taboo. Okay, in my home, money wasn't often talked about outside of I don't have any. Do you think money grows on trees? But I still also saw the impact of money in our homes. I want to say I have been very privileged in my life in that both my parents, I come from a two-income household, both my parents worked. I had everything that I needed to have as a child. I never went hungry because my parents always provided, as they should. They're my parents and they love me and my siblings, I think. But they provided for us, okay? So when they say they didn't have, sometimes it hurt because I would see some friends who had more than what we had and I would be jealous of them. And then there would be times when I'll be brought back down to earth because I was surrounded by a lot of people who didn't come from a two-income household or didn't have half of what we had. So I was always doing a balancing act when it came to money. It's not something spoken about, but I saw its influence in our lives. My mom, I want to say, has always been our breadwinner. She's the most creative woman I know, and I often used to joke when I moved out of my parents' house and I started living alone, over 10 years ago now. I often used to joke with my mom that she could turn £5 into £50 in terms of the spending power, whereas me as her daughter, I had the opposite effect. I could turn £50 into £5 because I would just buy rubbish, but whereas my mom would make that £5 stretch and work, whereas for me, I could drop a 50 and wouldn't even blink twice, right? So I often joked about that. My mom has always had good money values, and I remember something that I never even knew I'd already been taught. She always used to say you always have to have some rainy day money in an account that you couldn't easily touch. I would often roll my eyes at that because I did not really need to think about money, if I'm honest. Then I did. And then I never used the money principles I was taught, and I just let them rot there. But then after university, I started applying a lot of things that my mom taught me about money. And then fast forward to 2020, I had all the time in the world to think about money, right? To think about what I wanted to do with my money, how I wanted to spend my money. And then I also started thinking about my parents' retirement. My parents moved in their 40s from Zambia to the UK so that their children, could have a better education, better life prospects. And if I ask them now, they do not regret one single bit of it. But there's also another aspect of it, which they never thought about their retirement. Okay. But then sitting in my home back in 2020, watching all of these financial channels talk about money, retirement, what have you, that time I had just started getting over the fact that I wasn't young anymore, and thinking about pension wasn't an old person thing. My mom spoke to me about having her pension, the fact that she had life insurance should anything happen to her, and all of that good jazz. And I was uncomfortable with that conversation, but I know, and my mom knows, it was an important conversation we needed to have. So in 2020, I started thinking about my own future. And it's in 2020, even though I had been investing since 2014, it's in 2020 when I decided to take the bull by the horns and take charge of my own finances as well as my investing. And also, I'd been investing in a pension with my employer. I think when I started working for my previous employer, the rule of being auto enrolled into the pension had just come through, because before you had to actively request that, which I never did. But then when the rule changed into employers auto enrolled you and you had to actively opt out, I just never did anything. I just left it, just like before when I had to auto enroll myself. I never did anything. It worked this time as well when I had to auto opt out. I just never did anything. So I'd been investing for my pension and also for myself in a way. 2020, I decided to change things. I decided to open a SIP. I decided to open an ISA, and I started investing in general investment accounts. I did a lot of things, but it was also around that time that I made the biggest financial decision of my life so far, and that was to create a 5-year plan. Today's video, I will be talking about my 5-year plan. I just needed to give you guys the background and context. My 5-year plan, I wrote in 2020. It started in 2021. In 2021, I updated it a little bit. And in updating it, I made some changes. And that's when I added, I think initially when I wrote my 5-year plan, I said I wanted to be a millionaire. And then in 2021, I want to say 2021, but it could be 2022, I updated my 5-year plan to say I wanted to be a multi-millionaire. And I brought all of the notebooks. So this is my book from back in 2021, from 2020 into 2021. This was the book I used 2022. This was 2022 to 2023. This was all of 2023. And this is my current 2024 notebooks. I mention on this channel all the time that I write everything down. I love writing things down. I love writing my plans down. Either it's in my notes app on my phone, in my Notion template, or in my notebooks. I am more of a pen to paper kind of person. As much as I love the digital world, I still prefer, it feels more real if I write it in my planners. And I was looking at this when I started thinking about doing this video, because the video that I'm making today, looking at my 5-year plan, I'm looking, my 5-year plan, you guys, 2025 is my 5th year. So I never thought I would be where I am right now. Back in 2020 when I was writing it down, I didn't think I would achieve half of what I've achieved in the last 4 years. Year 4 still hasn't finished, but I did not think I would be able to. Like I said, at the beginning, it was more wishful thinking on my part. And then I started reading more. I've got a lot of finance books that I have read, watching YouTube channels, learning from others, talking to my parents. I always joke that my mother is my personal finance advisor. My father is the person that I go to when I want contracts looked into. He will give me the hard truth. My mother, she's very much my personal finance advisor, but she's also, like me, emotionally driven. So we need cold hard truth from my dad. So I always consult him as well. And I literally remember thinking, okay, you are putting this down on paper. How are you going to do it? That's where I stopped thinking about it. I wrote something down and I didn't think much about it. 2021, when I started implementing half of these things, then I wrote it down. And I printed out, actually it was 2022 when I printed this out. I will put a copy of my latest one on the screen, but I printed it and I written my updated, I don't think you can see it because it's quite bright in this room, but it's my updated 5-year plan. I wrote what I had accomplished in year 1. So in 2021, I had bought my first rental property. I had increased my net worth to over 280k. I had paid off my car and I was consumer debt free. I did not know all of these things. I had written my plan down and then just went to work without realizing that I'd already started working on it. Year 2, I did not know that I'd accomplished this. I bought my second rental. Obviously, I knew I bought a house. I increased my net worth to over 370k. I had increased my investments. This is the first time I started truly tracking my investments and having a goal for them, to under 60k, and had reached a 930k in my assets. It was at this point that I realized I could actually be a millionaire. Yes, I'd written down to be a millionaire, but seeing it actually like come true, my brain and that actually happening, there was too much distance between, there was too much disconnect. But it was at the end of year 2, that's when I realized, oh damn, this can actually happen for me. First generation immigrant in this country, this can actually happen for me. I thought about it and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go for it. And I did. Year 3, I wrote down what I wanted to achieve. Now, again, remember, I had already written the original plans down in my first book. I then refined it a little bit in my second book. And the goals then that I had written down, my 5-year plan in here, I had not actually broken them down the way I have had them down on a piece of, on this printed template. I had just written that I wanted to have at least $500,000 in my net worth. And that consisted, I broke it down. So I've been doing this for a long time. And that consisted of me having at least 2 rental properties. And I also wrote down like what those rental properties should be. And then I was like, combined with what I already owned, I could then add possibly buy my parents' home. That has always been part of my plan. Then I said I wanted my real estate. If I added what I owned then, plus adding rental properties, it should be about 1.3 million in rental properties. And then I talked about my investment portfolio. I talked about how I wanted, my dream was to have 50k in my ISA. Pension I wanted to be 25 and work pension 65. I thought this 140 would really be like chef's kiss. I'm now almost at 70k in my work pension in year 4. I'm 69 right now, and with my October pay, this tips me over 70 already. My Vanguard SIP, my Vanguard pension, is currently at 18k. My goal here back in 2021 was 25k. So I'm not far off that. And my ISA was initially at 25, but then if you watch my videos, you know that I've been taking money out of it. So right now it's at 15 and my goal was 50. But my overall goal for investments was 140. But I know I can surpass this. I was actually gobsmacked when I saw these numbers. And then I also have my savings account that I wanted to have 10k in my emergency fund. I wanted to have 5k like in my home fund, what I called my home fund, for things that I wanted to do around the house, and then for fun and travel, which has always been part of my principles, to have at least £5,000. So essentially I wanted to have 20k in my accounts that I can use for home emergencies, emergency fund and travel. That's what I wrote down in these notebooks. And then over the years, I've gone ahead and refined, and we are currently in 2024 in year 4, and I have written down exactly what I would like to achieve this year to help me reach my 5-year goal. So for year 4, I wrote the following: reach 100k in my investments. Then I broke that down. I already reached 100k in my investments earlier in the year. $750,000 in net worth. I'm not there yet, but I'm working there. Reach 1.5 million in assets. Again, I'm not there yet, but I'm working towards that. And I absolutely love this for me. Like, I set this wishful thinking goal, and then I set to work without realizing it. And there's really something about writing my goals down. Do you know how many times I walk into my bedroom and the first thing that I see is my 5-year plan on the wall? When I wake up, the way I have placed it is my bed is here. Across from my bed is my notice board, and this is there. I see this. My mind's eye sees this before I even wake up and recognize what's there. I look at this every single day, and somehow I'm always working towards achieving this goal of, being a multimillionaire. I cannot believe, as I'm sat here in my living room filming this video for you guys and for myself as a record, I can't believe I'm about to go into year 5. I cannot believe it. I cannot, because when I was setting it, I did not think I would be where I currently am. At the end of this year, so specifically 31st December 2024, I will be updating this template, because for year 4, instead of saying ongoing, it will have a tick for completed or done, and then I will be able to write down what my achievements were. I know what my original plans were, but for these trackers, I write down what I was able to achieve instead, because even though I wanted to reach $500,000 in my net worth in year 3, I did not reach that. I reached 408k, 400,000 in my net worth. I did not want the fact that I have a 5-year goal and what I wanted to achieve that I did not achieve to take away from the fact that I actually have 400k in my net worth. I did not want that to, the fact that I did not reach $500,000 to take away from that fact. So I make sure I update with what I was able to achieve and celebrate what I was able to achieve, because it's so easy to get bogged down that I did not accomplish it. For my year 4, when I was setting the goals, I said that year 4 scared the bejesus out of me, because everything that I had on the goal was out of this world to me, out of the realm of possibilities, but still possible at the same time, if that makes sense. I knew I was going to have to work a little bit extra to be able to achieve these goals. I think with the initial start of the year, the momentum was there. I continued through, but then life lifed, which is to be expected. Then I must have fallen off, but not completely, in the middle of the year. And now as we're getting closer to the end of the year, my momentum has picked up again. Whatever I can do, I will do, and I will be proud of myself regardless. I know that for year 4, of the 4 goals that I set up, I'll probably only achieve 1, and that's okay. That is absolutely okay. At first, I wasn't this confident. I was like, I should probably never have aimed this high. I should have maybe lowballed myself, but no. I wanted to reach for the skies, and I am working to reach for the skies. So even though I set 4 goals and I only accomplished 1, I'm still proud of myself. Even though I may not reach $750,000 as net worth at the end of this year, I'll still be either 450 or 500k in my net worth, and that's still something to celebrate. Even if I was at 100K, I would still celebrate, because these are all great milestones of my financial journey and I shouldn't discount them at all. So to end this video, what is in store for me for year 5 of my 5-year plan? The goals, original goals that I have here is 1, reach 125K in my investments. At the time of filming this video, I'm going to look into my tracker, because at the time of filming this video, I believe I am currently at 113K. So I don't have too much left to 125. Remember, from my original goal I said 140, so we still have a way to go, but I said 125. And right now in my net worth, according to my tracker, oh, I lie, not 113 but rather 116, and we still have November and December left. So who knows, I might be able to be a little bit more than where I am right now. So reach 125K in my investments, reach 1 million in net worth, reach 2 million in assets, and buy my first ever HMO. And in these plans I wrote my HMO in Oxford, but this year I've been thinking about it and I realized I actually am limiting myself because Oxford is expensive. Currently I do not have a budget where I can afford an HMO, housing of multiple occupants in Oxford. It's the perfect ground for me to get it, but I also went to university somewhere else where I know it's also a good ground because there are always students looking for housing. So I could look at that area instead. So I have decided not to limit myself, so I'll update this for year 5 to just say buy my first HMO, not in a specific area. I wanted Oxford because I'm not too far out from Oxford and I want to have my rental properties close to me. So that's why I put Oxford, but I have family all over the country and I could have it in any place where my family is or areas that I know really, really well. So you guys, this is my 5-year plan. This is what my final year of my 5-year plan is looking like. I have spoken to a number of friends about this, and I've also shared here that for year 6, so 2026, I am planning to take sort of a break from making these financial plans, because sometime I think after my birthday in July, I was like, now that I'm coming to year 5, what if I start thinking about my 10-year plan? And I said, no, let's take a break, let's take a breather and just enjoy. So that's it. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a break. So I'm very excited to see what year 5 has in store for me. I'm also very excited to achieve the goals that I've set for myself. I'm very proud of myself for being where I am, for all the people in my family that have supported me, and yeah, and my friends as well.